Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. This is a Marvel Contest of Champions video all about the Facebook picture that was released on the Marvel Contest of Champions official website. And this displays the 120 champions in Marvel Contest of Champions, and also the ones that we know of and the ones we don't know of. This video in particular is to look at speculations and also kind of tie in where, who and why these new champions could be put into the game. There are two definites and we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's start off with the top and kind of go through them and explain a few of them. Now, just to say, these are kind of speculated by myself. Some tie into certain things that are coming in the game and also cinematic releases. However, with regards to Kabam's release schedule as well as the kind of characters they put into the game, sometimes the obvious character isn't always the character you think is going to be in the game. Now, starting off at the top, as you can see, Black Widow is the previous character, so it means that anything further than that is going to be BLAB and kind of further on. So the certain ones that I've put in as a potential option are Blade, Bullseye, and this is the standard Daredevil villain Bullseye, or because it is important as well, Contest of Champions, the comic book. Now there is a female version of Elektra, if you just see there, and that is Elektra Natchios. I'm not quite sure what the first name is of hers. I think it's just Elektra Natchios, and she is Bullseye. Obviously, that is the other type of Bullseye, not obviously what the kind of Bullseye we're kind of expecting. And no Bishop. That's something that I've put in there as a note because that's sad. That's made me quite sad that Bishop won't be coming into the game. Obviously, it doesn't tie in. I have done my ABCs, and obviously BI doesn't really kind of tie in there because it's BLA, Black Widow. So anything BLE or BULL or BLAD is more applicable. Of those selections, more than likely it will either, if it's either going to be Elektra Natchios, who is the Bullseye from the Contest of Champions comic books, which seems more than likely because we haven't seen a character from there. All we've seen is Guillotine. And I might actually be doing an interview with the creator of Guillotine. That I'll tell you about in a future video. The next one, and it's, you know, it seems like it's going to be pretty obvious. There's a potential Punisher versus Carnage. I don't know. I'm still on the fence with that being something with regards to Punisher versus the kind of contest or something like that. Or Punisher versus the Collector, and it being something kind of relevant to that. But yeah, Kabam can do completely anything and everything with regards to what they're putting in. My hope would be that it would be Charles Xavier. The chances of that happening are slim to nil. However, I have said that I have kind of been pushing and prodding Kabam a few times about doing Charles Xavier, purely because I'm a massive X-Men fan, so that would be one that I'd like to. However, I would have preferred to have Jean Grey in at the same time, because then we've got this kind of telepathy being sorted out as well. How would they do the chair side of things? It'd be very difficult to do, but hey, they can do certain champions, and I'm sure they'll get to the ones that we want in the future. This next champion after Deadpool, again, so much speculation about who it could actually be. People have really kind of anticipated Dr. Octavius or Dr. Octopus, and I didn't really know how they would kind of phrase this. Would they be Otto Octavius? Would it be Dr. Oct? Dr. Octopus? It's very hard to say. I know there has been articles where they've said about implementing game mechanics so that we could see things with regards to like appendages and things with tentacle-like. But the same thing could be applied for certain things like Man-Thing or like a Medusa. There's so many different kind of like characters that would have that kind of makeup. I think actually they have it now with aspects of Cable when he's doing his block break, his heavy attack. So it's very common in the game to see certain things like that. So obviously maybe not. There's a lot of kind of Spider-Man pushing Spider-Man a lot for villains, which is good, is welcome, but there's also other kind of love that needs to be given to other characters. The other character that I've potentially put in is Deathlock. Deathlock is another character a lot of people have said, you know, this is a character that would be one that they hold dear, but I don't know if Kabam would put that and integrate it in any kind of great story, especially there's no cinematic reviews, or kind of cinematic items coming out that would warrant that character being put in. 4 and 5 seem difficult to pinpoint, but also at the same time they could be completely obvious. The completely obvious ones could be that it would be Green Goblin, tying into the fact that there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff, kind of Spider-Man Homecoming. The next thing can be that we've got in Gladiator Hulk for the Thor Ragnarok release. But you could also say, well, there's certain love that should be given to the other kind of lines of Ghost Rider. So, you know, 2 Ghost Riders, or maybe 1 Ghost Rider, like a Daniel Ketch or Robbie Reyes, which I thought would tie into some kind of season finale of something. But I think that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is now passed for the season finale, so maybe not there, or maybe just the start of the next series. So who knows with that. Gladiator Hulk seems obvious for the tie-ins of Ragnarok. Green Goblin seems logical based on Homecoming. It just seems to tie in to be that. Number 6 being Hobgoblin. There's so many characters that could be put in against this for Homecoming that I just feel that we would be overloaded with Spider-Man villains. There's no kind of great annoyance and frustration with that, but it's just then throwing so much in at one time. And then what Kabam could have done is like chop that into 2 separate Spider-Man based events. Unless they're planning to do something, a part 1 and a part 2 to it, like a Homecoming type event. It just depends on what their plans are for that. We've still got we've got Electro, we've got Venom. To a lesser extent, we've got Venom, probably doesn't really apply. So there's lots of things they can do to make a very kind of massive, and I'm talking like I said, a 2-parter Spider-Man event. Number 7, Kingpin, Kitty Pryde, Claw, and Lizard. Lizard seems a logical one based on, again, this kind of Homecoming kind of vibe of this massive Spider-Man event if they do it. But however, I would prefer to kind of start setting up characters for Black Panther, because if they do a Black Panther event, then they need to get sustenance to the content, and the only way to do that is to implement a character like Claw, who would be a tech character and would be someone with a, you know, you'd have a fake arm that's going to be able to emit some kind of great sound potential, the same way the way stuff does with Quake. So, you know, you will find elements of these new characters being put in that will benefit ones that can come in the future. Kitty Pryde, another mutant, would be good to have her in. They've done stuff with the Hood when it comes to the invisibility, so it does seem that we could do something with that character to develop it a bit further. And Kingpin, just in there just for the sake of kind of tying in the alphabetical order with things. So what the hell have I done for 8 and 9? Well, this is very important. Man-Thing, which is a character in Monsters Unleashed and as well as Howling Commandos, ties into something in a moment which we'll talk about. But if you watch my King Group video, you know that he's tied into the Monsters Unleashed universe, as well as a few other characters, including Man-Thing. Now, Marvel Contest of Champions put out on their Twitter page a picture which had, in the bottom right hand corner, Monsters Unleashed, in a PNG right at the bottom. It was a big thing for King Groot. Now, that ties in well with that, so Kabam may be going on the lines of releasing characters associated with Monsters Unleashed, which then means it could set up something for the Howling Commandos, and we'll touch on that again in a few more times. Hint, hint, Nick Fury. So as well for 8 and 9, could be Mr. Fantastic, could be Mantis, could be Mephisto. I'd like Mantis really, because that would tie in for stuff with Guardians of the Galaxy. However, though, they've missed the kind of mark with putting it out just then. So of all of those, I think it'd probably be Man-Thing associated with the Monsters Unleashed stuff. But there's a good shout for Mephisto, or even Mr. Fantastic, but Man-Thing and Mephisto could be the ones that you see there. When it comes to number 10, this is again very difficult to judge between Mr. Sinister, which is one that I think I would really like, and Misty Knight. However, the argument for Misty Knight is, number 1, she's female, number 2, she's black, and number 3, she has a robotic arm, so she'll be tech. She'll be adhering to a good amount of diversity, which so far Marvel Contest of Champions hasn't really kind of put in a huge amount of diversity. They're getting so much better with it with regards to putting in diversity. And that is really important moving forward. So hopefully we get Misty Knight. I love the aspect of a character that has a robotic arm that could be, you know, changed in the same way as how the Duck is to be more badass, as well as the fact that Tony Stark and the kind of usage with her arm to kind of make her so much more amazing than she is. So number 10 is either Mr. Sinister or Misty Knight. Mr. Sinister is a kind of a love for me to have him in the game. It would be amazing. But, however, based on the way that the game is going and the extent and need for more diversity, it seems more logical to have Misty Knight in. And Misty Knight should be in the game. She has every right to be in the game because she is a fantastic black tech robotic arm. Who could ask for any more from a character? A beautiful badass sister that is going to be so amazing and going to tie in with so many great things, Defenders, and also stuff with regards to Luke Cage. It may even be a case if we see her at the point of release of Defenders, or if not, it will be to tie in with something in the future. The same thing, like I said, with Claw and Black Panther film seems logical. 11 and 12 is, well, it's the definite. We've got definites here, and my notes say Nebula definite. Now, my thought process behind this was that Mysterio, Mystique, and Morph would be a good fit to kind of be put in, say, at the prior. So the previous one, which would be there, would be either Mystique, Mysterio, or Morph. However, though, my theory is that, based on what I said earlier, that we'll go with this Monsters Unleashed, we'll do Howling Commandos, and that would then put Nebula there, and then put Nick Fury there. A lot of people would say, oh, Nick Fury, why the hell have you put that? Well, the same thing with regards to like Punisher. Punisher's like his skill, and it would then attach Nick Fury to being a skill. He would probably not be called Nick Fury, it'd probably be Sergeant Fury, and would be again back to this Howling Commandos type stuff. And remember, like I said, Kabam go completely left field. You know, you might be thinking you're going that way. In fact, you're going that way. You just don't know the type of characters you're getting. There's some more logical ones that tie into certain things, like Spider-Man Homecoming and stuff being released, which then bring us on to our next things. It seems fairly logical that the next one, 13, will be a Punisher Netflix or a different variation on Punisher. It could be Punisher 2099. It could be so many different variations on Punisher. But, however, it could be something like Pyro. It could be a Puppet Master, and they could start then building up stuff for Fantastic Four. However, though, with the release of Punisher on Netflix, it does seem, again, very logical that they would release a Punisher version. Maybe even to do like a challenge, like not like a Dave Bautista challenge, but a kind of the person that's playing the Punisher challenge, and use that to kind of hype anything that's coming out for that. Number 14 is a juggling act again between different Spider-Man suits. It does seem fairly logical, unless they go completely round the bend, round the corner, and decide to choose Squirrel Girl. That could be an option. It does kind of input a load of diversity. They could increase the amount of Spider-Man outfits, so they look a little bit more, well, put in the Iron Spider outfit, could put in the Spider-Man 2099. We have recently seen Spider-Man 2099 kind of outfit in the Civil War 2. So that could be an option. Spider-Woman could be an option as well, giving a good diversity to the extent of Spider-Man outfits. You know, we've got Spider-Gwen, we've got two other Spider-Man, so that Peter Parker's, one Miles Morales, so that's kind of good and gives a good amount of diversity there. However, though, would they put in a new one? That would mean 3. I really don't know. I think it would be just putting in too many at one time, so I think that's why they held back on that the Weapon X version of Wolverine. Number 15, Vulture. Seems so much kind of logical again to see Vulture being put in. I'm not sure if they'll go down the lines of putting the more modernized version we'll see in Homecoming, because that is kind of touching on an appearance that's similar to Star-Lord with regards to the makeup of the face, with the kind of electronical mask or robotic mask that he wears. I think they'll probably go down the lines of putting in more of like a classic, or maybe a modern take on the classic. But yeah, it just seems that it can't be anything other than Vulture. And finally, number 16 is Yondu Adanta. I've just watched, as you can tell, the Guardians of the Galaxy film, And I'm not going to spoil anything for you. It was fantastic. One of the best films I've seen in a while. Guardians of the Galaxy is my favourite Marvel film that they've released, and the sequel to it delivered and improved and put me in such a positive state of mind for anything moving forward. So, what do you think of the list, guys? Let me know in the comments below of your 16 choices, if they differ from mine. Do you think that I may be onto a point with certain things? I do like the idea of the Monsters Unleashed tie-in and having a Nick Fury. I do think it's time. As well, that would improve the diversity in the game, which is something that they're working on, but it's not as good as it could be. And they really need to kind of improve that moving forward. So, who's excited? I'm incredibly excited. I can't wait to kind of cover this stuff with the guys to tell me more in the future. So, hey, positive times ahead. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more Marvel Contest to Champions based content. Catch me on social media. Link is in the description below. And yeah, see you again for another video. Bye bye.